And the premise of I'm From Japan is basically it is about a character literally called Japan who is a super Japanophile, very, very prideful in his home country, and of every prefecture in the country, all 47 of them, he is the master of Todofuken style, which basically refers to being able to name all the prefectures in Japan. It apparently originated in Saitama Prefecture, as revealed in the second chapter. And basically, he just wants to share his love of Japan and all the prefectures with the world and show off how great they are. And he has honed 47 different martial arts techniques under this Todofuken style that all reflect the unique personalities of those prefectures, which basically amounts to martial arts moves that reflect some popular aspect of that prefecture, like a river or a famous mountain, like a geographical aspect or a cultural aspect. And mainly, it seems in every chapter it's going to be referencing a popular manga series from a creator who originated from that prefecture. So in the first chapter, we got Tagashi from Yamagata Prefecture, and he uses the Dragon of Darkness Flame, which is not called Dragon of Darkness Flame, but it's basically that. And then in the second one, it's Saitama Prefecture, and they reference Shin-chan, and he basically does what Shin-chan does and attacks people with his butt. So
that's pretty great.
And the antagonist of the series is a very clear reference to the principle from Sakigake Otojuko.
Yeah, it's definitely Heihachi Idajima, yeah.
Yeah.
And he kind of represents Tokyo's sense of superiority, I think. 'Cause he's very much about like how that's... Was he? Yeah, he was like about how that's the best.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that was his thing.
What I really want to know now, and this is a weird sentence to say, I really want to know if Akira Miyashita was born in Tokyo or if this is just a very weird reference.
I would call for both. Maybe both are
anything's
true.
Possible.
I mean, yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I was it's probably because I don't know much about like the actual geography of Japan, and I hate to admit it, but I'm pretty like bad at geography in general. So I guess I just a lot of the jokes are kind of lost on me, unfortunately.
Well, see, I think this series was interesting to me because I don't know much about the prefectures, and I kind of like that the series is kind of letting you know something about each of them and what's supposed to be unique about them, and also tying it into what a manga reader would be interested in, and like, oh, here's where this mangaka who created this famous manga you recognize is from. And that's, oh, yeah, this helps me memorize, like, what this prefecture is and what's unique about it as well. You're tying it into an interest of mine. I think that's very smart. And it's also kind of funny that he can basically just reference manga in a kind of an organic way.
Yeah, I think kind of the way I fall on that is it's because most of the knowledge there was news to me as well. So it's like, it's fun and educational and funny, but when you explain the joke, it isn't as funny, and it kind of has to do that to make you know what the joke is. Which is, it's an awkward territory for a gangbang to fit in, and I can't say enough. I like it. I really like it quite a lot, but it's a bit of a glaring flaw in the actual concept.
I do like... And now that you put it that way, I like the idea, and I like that concept of let's reference manga in a way that's actually kind of educational. I mean, I like that aspect of it, but I mean, again, this is definitely like David, like one of those things that I'd be fine just kind of reading weekly. Though, except with David, like I feel like if I had to like pick and choose, like, as far as, like, if I wanted to read, like, an entire volume of one of these, I probably would actually pick David over this. Just because I personally think David is a little funnier, just to me personally.
I can kind of get that. It occurs to me, what I really want to do now, not to take things away, or make this, like, a weird thing. Come on, just to get a bead, because I don't think I've ever asked this. What gag manga do you like? Like, some particular series, like, what are your favourite gag manga?
See, I don't know if I have any like favorites because I don't think I've read like a lot of gag manga.
Bobobo, and Dr. Slump.
I mean, I do like Bobobo, even if I haven't like read a lot of it, and I really want to say Gintama, but Gintama's weird because it's not really gag manga.
I think that's what you classify as a story comedy.
Yeah,
a dramedy, if you will.
Yeah.
Yurusei Yatsura, I don't know if you'd classify as a gag manga. Perhaps you would. So, I mean, that should be obvious then.
I was gonna say, like, I haven't had the chance to read a lot of it, but I do like Dr. Slump, but I also think that's because I really like Toriyama's sense of humor in particular.
So I think that way it kind of addresses, like, I wonder if part of why a lot of these gag manga don't work for you and why they only kind of have appeal to you on the idea of like a short weekly dose is because they lack that sort of that continued structure that a lot of the more sort of plot-oriented gag manga tend to have.
Yeah, I mean, Bobobo is like a parody of shonen battle manga, so each arc of Bobobo has like a structure, and like, oh, we're gonna beat X number of villains, then we're gonna fight the big villain, but it's all a farce along the way, because we're just gonna make a bunch of jokes.
Pretty much, yeah.
As we beat all these bad guys.
Yeah, I mean, structure is a very light statement for Bobobo. Like, it's got an end destination, it has a start point, but everything that happens in between then goes, well, this can be anything.
Yeah, I mean, though it does have like a formulaic structure to the arcs. Like, there's like a certain number of like bad guys that they gotta beat before they get to the big boss. It's usually like 5 or so. And then there's like you have like a fusion fight somewhere in an arc. So like, there's some formula stuff that you pick up on in Bobobo. It's like, oh, I see what you're doing, so bye. Yeah, you found a groove here.
I feel like it makes me sound a little rigid, but I mean, you're not wrong. I do prefer more structural, like, storytelling, I guess. So, gag manga to me, and I hate to use this word because it might sound more harsh than I want it to sound, but like, gag manga to me are a bit more disposable, where it's like, I can kind of read this, and I'm probably not going to think about it too much afterwards. You know, it's something I kind of enjoy more in the moment.
I mean, the thing is that's both harsh and also what they're actually designed to be. So it's like, it is the definition of harsh but true. It's like, yeah, they're disposable, but that's a fault with the very idea of gag manga, not with your judgment of them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I do like gag manga with, like, some story element to them, or where, like, the individual stories in each chapter are different and unique in interesting ways. Like, Dr. Slump and Yurusei Yatsura, like, every chapter has a different thing going on. It's, like, different jokes. Like, there are recurring jokes, but every chapter is focused on, like, on a different idea. It's not, like, the same idea in every chapter.
Yeah.
And then Bobobo, as we discussed before, has like an overarching story and like goals in each chapter that they're like drifting through as they have fun.
Like, my personal favorite gag stuff is mostly like work by Mangataro, who definitely has a plot structure to his series, but it decompresses it to fit in so many odd, disgusting jokes along the way that you kind of forget that there is a plot. The particular series I'm thinking of stuff like Shinyuki, or his latest series ongoing at the moment, The Little Prince, based on The Little Prince, but more testicles and blood and dismemberment and thanking the president of Tenga.
Look, if I had the opportunity to, I think I would read his work in a heartbeat.
The fact that none of it is licensed is simultaneously the most disappointing and understandable thing in all of comics publishing. But yeah, I'm from Japan. It has, unlike David, and this is definitely a plus for it, it feels like the structure of these early chapters could definitely lead to it going into something a little more plot heavy. If it were to remind me of any series at all, it would be Shimabukuro's debut work, End of Century Leader Takeshi. That's definitely the correct title. Actually, I think it is. Hey! Which started as a gag manga, and then as it went on, it formed longer plots, it had a bit more action, and it actually just became a battle manga. Like, I'm from Japan it's in that sort of traditional mold. It's in the Kinnikuman mold, if you really want to go that far back.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny, it is disposable gag stuff, but it definitely has left itself a get out of, oh, am I not doing that well as a gag manga? Guess I'm an action series now.
It feels like if it had to go that route, like, at the very least, it could start transitioning into that type of manga a little more organically, and it won't feel like it just comes out of nowhere.
I mean, it set up seeds for other characters showing up because Japan references characters he's met before, like Yuki from Aomori and Manami from Wakayama. So clearly there's like other characters in mind already that could come into this.
Yeah, it's definitely got room for it. And that stuff can pay off dividends. Like, along with the two examples I mentioned, like, Reborn did it in the last decade and a half and managed to be one of Jump's most successful titles. Like, and that was a gag manga for a whole year. It took a while before it made that shift into battles, and it did that shift hard. Like, jokes stopped when it became a battle manga. So, like, I don't like I'm From Japan as much as I like Teenage Renaissance David, but I feel like it's got more versatility and has more potential for where it could go in the future, even if I think that I could look at Teenage Renaissance David, like, if it lasted years, I would still be laughing at chapters as they come out. Which is kind of important, because, like, this is their big push to inject more gag manga in, because, like, again, Gintama wasn't gag manga, but it was a big source of comedy. Kochikame, Saiki Kusuro, like, they've had a big exodus of funny comics from Jump. Like, a big part of the reason I was getting sick of it is because Jump, it's not necessarily po-faced, but the sort of humor it's had has been little injections into action manga or into rom-coms, which are their own sort of humor, which is fine. But you don't just want rom-coms, you want a good laugh-out-loud gag manga. And I feel like it's been a real sort of slam dunk for Jump to have put two very different gag manga in on the same week.
Yeah, that is a very interesting move on their part.
Testing the waters to see, like, what kind of gag series audiences will respond to.
I'm personally holding out for David, but I am interested in what potential routes I'm From Japan could take.
I mean, I said this with the last round, I'll say it again with this round, I really want both of these series to succeed, and I think they deserve it. Which might be a curse on them, because again, last time I said that, Momiji no Kusetsu and Invade You, they ended on the spot.
Basically.
Yeah, that's a real shame. I was really rooting for Momiji no Kusetsu in particular.
Yeah. I think they both deserved a longer shake than they got, but if it doesn't work in Jump, it doesn't work in Jump. It's a shame, but it's true. Hopefully these will succeed.
I'm also not just saying that because the author of Momiji drew Basun when it came time for that big spread of, hey, draw whatever Jump character inspires you, probably.
That definitely endears them to me. Oh god, you know what's really awful? I said that was last round. There was an entire other serialization round between, and yeah. I forgot.
I guess Alice and Tayo and Seiji Tanaka have been sticking in your mind.
Well, the thing is, I really like Alice and Tayo. I hold it up as one of the best comics from this year.
Wow.
But I think I've resigned it a little bit to death in my mind, you know?
Yeah, it doesn't seem too long for this world.
And Seiji Tanaka, I mean, it wasn't bad.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. I also really liked Seiji Tanaka also, but that's not really a gag manga because there's obviously, it's obviously telling a larger story, but it has huge doses of comedy. At least in my mind, I thought it was funny, but...
I mean, I felt like that was more in the Gintama mold.
Yeah, exactly. That's probably why I liked it, honestly. But I mean, also, I really just, I really like the artistic sensibilities in there because, as we've seen, like, the dude is obviously inspired by Tite Kubo's type of art.
Oh yeah, I mean, as we know, it's like, Ichigo was his choice of, like, inspirational character for that Jump cover. Which, I wish they would do that every year now, because that's such a good way of getting an insight into an author.
Yeah, like, that has to be a requirement. Like, which series or Jump character inspires you the most? You're gonna be featured on a cover.
They do kind of do this with one-shots in magazines, and with anything in Giga. When they introduce a new author for a series, they'll list their 3 favourite series. But we don't get to see that, because, I mean, first of all, we don't really get the one-shots here, and we certainly will never get Giga here. Giga, it doesn't matter what I call it. It's not coming over here. But it's such a good way to get a feeling of the vibe you want to expect going in. And that's got me excited for stuff. Like, Hinamaru Zumo, I read a little bit of that back in, when it was running as a free volume on Jump's bookstore, because they just do that sometimes. You get to read things for free. And I wish I'd known then that they were a fan of Kinnikuman, because it really puts in place a lot of the feeling of that series where it just wasn't clicking for me because I was expecting something more serious.
That's interesting. But I guess how do we feel about I'm from Japan overall then?
I think I'm the odd man out in that I liked it more than Teenage Renaissance David, because I'm very interested in the subject matter of learning about all the different prefectures of Japan, and I think that the way that I'm from Japan is doing it by tying it into like specific landmarks and manga references that are easy to remember is quite helpful, and especially for young audiences in Japan, it might be really, really helpful. But also for me as like a Westerner who has not studied Japanese history, like it's also nice to have something like really easy to like digest like that, to like learn a little something new while reading a manga. I kind of do like that. Whereas with Teenage Renaissance David, like, I love classical art. I took many art history classes, so I do appreciate a lot of the references and turning like high art into low art. But I'm not learning something new from Teenage Renaissance David. And I think that's the difference from that and I'm for Japan, is that I do feel like the subject matter is something that I'm interested in, but I'm actually getting something more out of it than I would expect from a disposable gag comedy. Yeah. So I appreciate that.
And
how?
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I know. Continue. I got ahead of myself.
No, I was just gonna say, I totally think, as far as I'm from Japan goes, that educational value is, well, to be redundant, valuable. But again, I'm mostly just going with what I thought was funnier, and I personally found David to be funnier in comparison. I'm
generally at the same mind. I do really like both. I said on a previous Jumpstart discussion that like each round is something I like a little bit more. Whilst I don't like I'm from Japan as much as David, they are generally, as far as this year goes, it's probably the most I've enjoyed a serialization round wholesale.
Interesting.
Which, I mean, I don't know how you guys feel. Like, hey, how has this... Because these are probably the last new serials of the year. Like, everything else will be sort of like issue 1, 2, 3 sort of time of 2019's issues.
Mm-hmm.
How have you found 2018 for Jump?
I've personally found it interesting. If you were to ask me, like, on the spot, like, what new series have really stood out to me, I'd have to, like, go back and actually take a look at what has come out this year, because I feel like I run the risk of naming a series that, like, premiered, like years and years ago. Like, I always forget, like, what premiered when. So I'd have to look back personally. But I feel like if I looked back, I'd probably find a lot of series where I'd be like, oh, hey, I remember that. Or it'd be like, yeah, I really liked that. Like, it's hard for me to come up with something off the top of my head other than like Seiji Tanaka, which was pretty recent comparatively.
Time all runs together sometimes.
Exactly. That's my problem.
Well, it's been a couple of really unsuccessful years for new Jump series. Like 2017 and 2018 have been fine. Like there have been series that have come out. And there's been like things that have lasted. I mean, we've still got We Never Learn and Dr. Stone from last year, and we've got Act Age and Jujutsu Kaisen from this year, as far as like things sticking out. But that feels like a really low hit rate.
Is it? Is it a low hit rate?
It's by no means the worst it's done, and who knows? Like we've still got these two series and the two from the last round, they're still here. Like, something could happen with those. And it's by no means the worst year Jump has ever had, either of these years.
I mean, I guess compared to 2016, where there were 3 hits that came out that year, and then not including Boruto, which is still in the magazine. So that's like 4 ongoing series that have been in the magazine since 2016 that are still with us. But I feel like, I don't know, 2 new series that hit their stride in a year. I feel that's pretty good. I don't know if that's like... I feel like in years past, I think like Black Clover was the only thing from 2015 that's still with us. So I think, 2 new series that like are, that make it big. It seems like pretty fine. Seems like pretty expected.
God,
but I think because we follow all the new jump starts and we see like how many do not succeed as opposed to the few that do, it like feels like, oh man, it's like Jump struggling here. But I feel like this is kind of like the same hit rate that they've had for the last couple of years.
That's kind of thing. By no means is Jump struggling. I think it's just I'm seeing so many serials. It is how Jump works. Like they're ruthless, but maybe it's just getting more exhausting for me to see them like serialize 10, 12 things a year, whatever, and then turn around and go and say, yeah, 2 of these worked, kind of. We'll see if they last another year.
Yeah, I could see how that would be kind of exhausting, but it seems like two semi-successful new series a year doesn't seem that... I guess like 2 out of like 10 or whatever, it doesn't seem bad, but I mean... 2 actually somewhat successful new series seems average to me. I kind of expect it.
Yeah, maybe I'm just being a worrywart. Regardless, I've enjoyed a lot of stuff this year. Like I'm actively still reading Jujutsu Kaisen in volumes and Invade You. I'm getting Alice and Tayo when it comes out. I'm definitely following both of these into volumes if they don't get picked up by Viz. So, like, for me, it's a good hit rate, and honestly, if they're cancelled, that's fine, because it saves me money. But, yeah, comics are nice, let's just say that, that's the easy thing. Let's not have me keep worrying.
See, I'm interested in, because we're definitely going to be probably picking our favorite jump starts, when we do our usual, like, year-end episode, and we kind of look back on the year. I think it's safe to say that that Act Age is probably going to be my favorite new series from this year, even though I totally keep forgetting that it premiered this year.
I mean, it's a fun, mild survival. It's on the same level as Hinamaru Zumo in that it doesn't sell enough that you would think they would keep it going, but it fulfills that rare thing of Jump of being a series where the uniqueness of the content matters more than it being a huge hit.
Yeah.
It serves a purpose literally no other comic in Jump, comes close to.